Our final Wimmera Football League report for season 2022, and it comes up to be the grand final weekend. And Scotty Stewart from the Warwick Herald, look, he's also actually puts out the Dimboola and the Rainbow papers too, so he's got plenty going on, and one down in Horsham as another paper that goes out with a terrific group of people, David and the team. But Scotty is with us on the sports pages from the Herald, and he joins us now. How are you, Scotty?
Hey, I'm going well, thanks, Wayne.
Well, next week's a bit of a conundrum. I thought I might ask you before we get stuck into the grand final, because we got two public holidays in a row for you blokes. I mean, you won't be working on the Thursday and then on the Friday, so you're going to crunch some papers on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right. It's a bit of a weird setup in that we always had the AFL grand final, and then the government threw in the Queen's morning Thursday for us for this week. So yeah, you're right. It'll be a busy 3 days, but we'll get it done. We'll drop one of our Herald issues, and we'll just go flat out for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then enjoy a 4-day weekend. So it'll be all jam-packed, and this grand final that's going to happen this weekend, it'll take up a fair bit of our sports pages this week, so that'll be a good one to report on.
It'll be great to report on it. But before we do go to report on it here on The Flow, let's have a look at the big medal count, the Tui. Kieran Delahunty back-to-back. He is the star. Minyip Matoa, another medal.
Yeah, that's back-to-back, as you said, 2 in a row, 3 all up in his career. Kieran won it in 2014 before he took off and did a few other things before returning back to Minyip Matoa. But listening to the count there, they had it all online on Monday night, and he pretty much dominated. Bit like last year when he won it, he dominated the count last year, and this year he's done it again. And it was interesting to see that one of the joint runners-ups was the joint coach of Minyip Matoa and Luke Fisher. So the Minyip Matoa team, they poll well most years, but Karen, he's just his athletic size, and obviously comes under the notice of the umpires a fair bit, because he's 12 foot in the air when he's at his peak. So good effort by Kieran, and as I say, back to back 2 medals.
Great stuff from him. Across the day though, or the night, there was another big win. Jordan Taylor from the Warwick Eagles takes the reserve grade, and of course you know this bloke pretty well.
Yeah, Jordan was the deserving winner there. He put in a fairly constant season this year. Jordan's had a couple of injuries over the years, but this year he played in, I think it was about 13 of the 16 games played, and polled 25 votes. So that's a fair effort for Jordan to poll 25 in the 13 games that he played. And another ruckman who gets around the ground pretty well. But as I said, he was pretty well injury free this year, and it just shows you once you're out on the park there, you put some consistent footy behind you. These little things come along, and a very deserving winner of the Reggie's best and fairest. Yeah,
it certainly is. Okay, let's get to the big one, and you've come up with a little interesting anecdotal piece of information. Matty Wilder, the coach of the Ararat side, playing in the big grand final at the Horsham City Oval against Minyip Matoa, also coached you blokes 20 years ago to a premiership, and that premiership was for the Warwick Eagles back in 2002 against, guess who?
Ararat.
Now, that is an unbelievable bit of information. I did not know that until Scotty Stewart told me that all off air, so I've given you the absolute beauty there, Scotty. That is a ripping piece of information that 20 years ago, the coach of Ararat, now going for another premiership, that he actually coached you blokes in that last premiership for him. That's a great achievement.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a top effort. Matty was appointed at the start of last season to coach Ararat, and obviously we all know what happened in 2021. We were cut short about 3/4 of the way through, and no, I'm sorry, wrong there. He just appointed from 2020, and when the season was actually cancelled. Went into 2021, obviously that was cancelled after the 3/4 of the season, and this year he's had a full crack at a full season. And Matty only stopped playing last year too. He was still pulling the boots on for the Ararat seniors. So this year he finally decided to pull the pin because concentrate fully on the coaching side of it, which is going to pay off this weekend because he's got his Rats into that grand final. So yeah, it's an interesting little side note for us, especially around the Warwick Eagles team. We've been following Matty all year and his progress because the Ararat team, obviously they finished minor premiers on top of the ladder, and they are going to go into this weekend pretty well on a level playing field, but it'll be an interesting day to watch.
Will be. Now, Ararat beat Stawell 12-14, 86-7, 11-53. But if you look at the three-quarter time score here, Stawell were 4 points down and had a very good third quarter. A lot at the ground might have thought, Stawell are on a roll and the Warriors are coming and the Rats are starting to desert, but it wasn't to be. They came out and thumped Stawell in the last quarter.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went. I was at Anzac Park last Sunday, and there was a slight breeze heading towards one end. And if you look at the scores there was no goals scored against that slight breeze in the second and the third and fourth quarters. Ararat failed to score in the third, and then Stawell failed to score a goal in the last. I failed to score in the last. That's how Ararat had pretty much dominated. But yeah, that third quarter brought the game to life, and Stawell put themselves back into the contest. But you could sort of see, that Ararat had absorbed that challenge at three-quarter time, and just the way the game was flowing, it was flowing towards that one end, and when they do, they finish with 4-5 for the quarter to nothing, and blew the final margin out. But played some pretty good footy too, the Ararat boys, so that would put them in good stead for this weekend.
It certainly has, and Bell was back to his best because, and that I think is a key thing. The time they play against Minyip-Matoa, he didn't score any goals the previous week, and now 3 goals against Stawell. So he'll need to be in form and be able to take those marks and give them something up forward. Minyip-Matoa, for mine up forward, have got more striking power, and I know it could be a bit wet underfoot too. There's been a bit of moisture about again. That could have an impact. I think it favours Minyip-Matoa still. I can't go past Minyip-Matoa to beat Ararat.
Yeah, that's the interesting point. And I spoke to a couple of the coaches through the week and brought up the point about the weather, because it's probably looking like it's going to be a bit wet and a bit wild and a bit windy. So it'll test their lineups for the day. But they obviously they know that what's coming, what they're going to be playing in. Ararat obviously being further down south, they're playing a bit wet weather football, I should say. So it's not going to phase any of those sides. But the interesting point you bring up there with the Minyip-Matoa forwards, they just grabbed them through the second semi-final when they played each other, when Minyip had that big last quarter to win. And Jay McGrath, he's kicked 2 goals, but he's been their most main focal point for a while. But he was one of about 9 goal kickers that day, so they had a pretty even spread. So they'll take that into this weekend, into the grand final. So with that knowledge, but as I said, talking with Matty Walder, and look, he's confident that these boys can bounce back from that loss in the second semi-final, take a fair bit out of last weekend in that last quarter, and put his boys for the test. And you just mentioned blokes like Tommy Mills and also young fella Jordan Cox, who impressed me last weekend. He kicked a couple of goals, but he took some strong marks, and he'll be a live wire up in the forward line for the Rats. So yeah, as I say, the weather I think will diminish the forward part of it. It'll be all ground level play and through the midfield. So whoever's gets on top through the midfield will take a fair advantage into this game.
They will. Minyip-Matoa is technically going for back-to-back here. They won it in 2019. And interestingly enough, the Rats haven't won a premiership at Wimmera since 2001. And so it's over 20 years. Now, Can the Rats get it done? Your final tip, Scotty?
Look, I'm probably going with a bit of the on the side of Matty Walter there, and I'll say that I'll back my old coach in there to get the job done. But it's just going to be a cracker of a game, and as I say there, the ball's going to spend a fair bit of time on the ground, and whoever can make the most of it through there, and then seeing our out there last week, a strong on-ball brigade, and again with same as Wimmera. So. Look, it's not a detailed assessment with all how that's going to happen, because I think it's going to be a real tight finish. Wimmera probably deserved, slight favouritism because they they won that second semi-final, so they've got the edge there. But grand final days, they're so different, aren't they? You've seen a lot of them in your day, and we all know what happens on, anything can happen on grand final day. But look, I'll back my old coach in there to get his team over the line. And I would say 21 years since they last won a premiership. So, and the Boroughs, as you said, their aim was back to back. But be a crack of a game, and hopefully the weather doesn't turn it into a bog hole, and a good crowd gets on along there and witnesses the game.
Yeah, great stuff. There's a reserve grade, a quick tip through them. Horsham D's and Wimmera. Horsham D's coming from the prelim, and Wimmera, well, I don't know. I just get a feeling the D's really outclassed Ararat last week. I reckon they might take the reserves.
They'd probably to be honest, it looked with the team heading in maybe a slight favourite, but the Boroughs, I can't go past them. They just, in the reserve, I mean, they finish on top of the ladder at the end of the year, but they just get the job done. They're unassuming, and they just work pretty hard. But it'll be a good prelude into the senior game, this one, because the Horsham reserves, I know one fella, Geordie Burke, the senior coach, because he had an interrupted year. He's playing for the Rezzies, and he really was the shining light there last week in that preliminary final win. But I've just got a feeling that this style that the Boroughs play might just upset the Demons, and they might just get that flag.
Okay, the two junior grades are both Horsham D's and Ararat, the 17s and the 14s. The 17s first. Interesting,
these ones here. The Ararats got over the line in the 17s last week in a bit of an upset. So, but they're going to battle both of them, the 14s and the 17s. Horsham Ararat, and Horsham finished on top of the ladder in both those grades with a pretty dominant seasons, finishing as minor premiers. So I'm tipping Horsham to take both the junior grades, the 14s first up, and then the 17s after that, because that's the way they've finished the season, played out the season, finished on top, and they've sat out and they've watched these other games. So I think, sometimes you always say that you're better off playing the game, but in this instance, they're not, but I think the Horsham juniors, pretty good outfits at the minute.
They certainly are. Scotty, it's been great to have your company through the season, and even with some time away in Queensland with family, you still were dedicated to the task of keeping people informed, and I do appreciate your contribution year after year on Wimmera football here on Flow FM, and you have a great weekend at the footy, and I'll look forward to catching up with you next time.
Yeah, no worries, Wayne. It's been a good season, and hopefully it's topped off with a big day tomorrow.